All right, today we're going to talk a little bit about things that I wish I knew getting started as a real estate investor, creating my first website, choosing a domain name, and how that affects SEO or ranking in search engines. So when you go to a domain registrar such as GoDaddy or Hover, I'm using Hover in this case, but I have no affiliation to any of them. The first thing you want to do is come up with a memorable name. But there's other aspects to that you might want to think about. A memorable name should also be short. You might want to consider keeping it under 15 characters. And so basically, let's say we come up with a name. We buy Mars houses. Let's say we like Elon Musk a lot. And we're trying to be ahead of the curve. We're going to buy all the houses on Mars. So that's available. So that's awesome. So in this case, that's great. But let's say we're not very original, and if the .com is available, I would probably buy that because the people in their mind .com they assume that that's the highest level and highest ranked authority TLD, so that top level domain, and a lot of people assume that .online, .house, some of these other TLDs are not as strongly ranked as .com, but Google says otherwise. It really doesn't matter. It's more about your SEO, the quality of your links, and the quality of the content that'll rank you highest. So for an example, there's a website called SouthernCaliforniaHomebuyers.net, and if we search "We Buy Houses California" and we scroll past these ads, actually he's at the top. So he's the first unpaid ad. Same with San Diego. So these guys are absolutely killing it. So they're doing SEO right. And if we look at their website in Ahref, this is just a way to explore domains and kind of see where their backlinks and more about, it unveils the curtain of how they're getting these rankings. But we see that he has over 1,300 keywords, and he's a .net. So right there, shows you it doesn't matter. Same kind of thing if you think of speedtest.net. This is like a very, very old website that Comcast or internet service providers use when they come to your house, not a .com. Even some of the funky names, like there's one coffee.club, ranks really, really high for coffee subscriptions. So basically my point is I wouldn't be too concerned about the TLD. It's more important to just choose a name that's memorable and not too long. So one thing you might do is, as you're coming up with names, there's websites such as Name Checker where you can type in the name, and it'll show you across all these social media platforms and websites, is this name available? So this is a real quick way to check. This tool is pretty helpful, although it looks like it was made by a 15-year-old. It's pretty good way. So if we just do "We Buy Houses," I could make a YouTube channel of that, but pretty much that's gone. So you might consider using this. Another thing to consider is that you don't want your domain over 15 characters. I mean, it's not that you don't want your domain over 15 characters. There's benefits to having your domain under 15 characters or less. Something I didn't know is, so things like Twitter and I believe Instagram and Pinterest, they have inherent names with 15 characters. So if you come up with a name like, Ohio Cash Flow, that's going to fit really well because it's less than 15 characters. But if you do, rentals, now you're going to have a little bit more trouble with your brand. You're going to have to abbreviate that somehow on some websites. That's a little bit of a bummer. I had that problem because mine is 16. You'll find, at least I find, that you'll come up with a lot more 16 character letter combinations of words or more than 15 or less. Another thing to consider is Google does seem to care about keywords in the domain name. So this would rank really well for cash flow, or someone searching for the word Ohio cash or Ohio cash flow. If you do, let's do some examples. So if you do "need to sell house fast," so "need to sell my house," you can see it's highlighting the keywords that I'm searching in all of these. "Need to sell my house fast." So if I had an exact match domain or close to it, that's going to give you an SEO boost. Currently, as I see it, you rank higher in Google. So, I wouldn't necessarily name my domain, something awkward that you're just trying to rank high, as far as keywords. But if you can get an exact match or get some of your keywords into the domain name, that will definitely give you an SEO boost. Currently, there's been some examples of people that rank perfectly for a certain keyword, and within a month or two, they're on the front page of Google purely because they used those keywords that they were trying to target. The thing is, though, if you do SEO really well, you can have pages that'll rank you for those keywords. So I wouldn't necessarily structure my domain name purely around the one keyword, unless that keyword was just super important and you really, that one you wanted to rank for no matter what. Then it might be a trade-off that's worth going for. Or you could register a different domain that ranks for that really high for that keyword, that maybe redirects you or has a lot of backlinks to your page. So that's another thing you could consider. So another thing you want to do is just up front, it might be a good idea to do some research on the market that you're about to go into. So we could do We Buy Houses San Diego, and make a spreadsheet of, let's say, the first 10 domains that are found on the front page of Google. So say we want to get up here somewhere, excluding Craigslist. And you can do a couple things. You can go, I'm on a Mac, but you could do who is, and you could search for this person. And I found that a lot of real estate investors don't mask their who is data. So, here's his name and address that he registered his domain to, even his email, so you can get in contact with him. You can see when the domain expires, and there's domain name, created on date. So that's another thing we should talk about. There are websites that sell pre-aged domains that are usually pretty expensive. Do not concern yourself with aged domains. From the reading I've done from Matt Cutts, so there's a guy named Matt Cutts that works for Google. He is a Google webmaster and works on the actual search engine itself. Domain age, this video is kind of old, but I think it still stands true, that there is a very small, there is a small boost to SEO if you use an older domain, but it's only 2 to 3 months. It's a pretty small window. So by the time you get your website up and running and put some content on it, the age of the domain won't even matter. So I wouldn't concern yourself about buying an older domain. It's such a slight bump that you'll be there in no time. By the time your content has, the most important thing is the quality of your content and the types of links and the result of the quality. Your ranking in SEO will be from the links that you get from that quality content, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is a good way to kind of do some investigative research to see who your competitors are. And you might also want to use a tool like Ahrefs or Moz Explorer, or there's a ton of these SEO tools where you can punch them in. You can see their backlinks, the referring domains, and you kind of see how long they've been doing this. So past 3 months, he had a big jump in September. Referring pages. Anyways, these are just some things to think about as you create your name or your domain name, and you're going through this stuff that maybe I wasn't aware of or should have thought about. And I think the most important thing is just to have the quality content and generate that SEO, organically, and don't use Fiverr. Don't buy paid links. That's going to come back to bite you really hard. Don't buy likes. As much as you can avoid any of that stuff, generate it by hand is going to be more time consuming, but whenever you pay someone to generate SEO, backlinks, and content for you, it's going to be a rough road. Google picks up on that kind of stuff. So that's it. Just some quick tips as you get started out buying your first domain. Thanks.